There is a layer of clay, barely as thick as a coin, buried in rock formations all over the world. Geologists call it the boundary line. Below it, an entire world existed. Above it, that world was gone. No transition, no slow fade, just a line in the stone, and on either side of it, two completely different planets. To understand what happened at that line, we have to go back further, to a world barely recognizable as our own. 230 million years ago, Earth looked nothing like it does today. The continents were fused into a single, massive landmass. Deserts stretched for thousands of miles. The air itself was different, thinner in places, thick with volcanic haze in others. And walking through this harsh, shifting world were small, quick reptiles, no bigger than a dog, competing for survival against larger, more dominant creatures that ruled the land at the time. These small reptiles were not yet rulers of anything. They were survivors, scraping by on the edges of a world controlled by other species. But survival, given enough time, has a way of turning into opportunity. A series of mass extinctions swept through the planet, clearing out many of the dominant land animals that had kept these small reptiles in check. Nature abhors an empty stage. Where competitors disappeared, something had to fill the space. And these small, adaptable reptiles were ready. Over the next tens of millions of years, they diversified explosively. Some grew larger. Some grew faster. Some developed entirely new ways of moving, eating, and surviving. This was the true beginning of the dinosaurs, not as instant giants, but as opportunists who happened to be in the right place when the world reshuffled its rules. Let's talk about size, because this is where imagination often runs ahead of evidence. Fossil records confirm dinosaurs ranged dramatically in scale. Some, like Compsognathus, were roughly the size of a chicken. Others, like Argentinosaurus, are estimated by paleontologists to have reached lengths of over 100 feet and weighed as much as 12 African elephants combined. Between these extremes existed an enormous range of body types, adapted to nearly every environment on the planet, from dense forests to open floodplains to coastal wetlands. Predatory dinosaurs varied just as dramatically. Tyrannosaurus rex, one of the most studied predators in the fossil record, is estimated to have reached lengths of around 40 feet, with a bite force, research suggests, exceeded 12,000 pounds per square inch. Among the most powerful bites ever measured in a land animal. Yet even T-Rex wasn't the largest predator of its era. Spinosaurus, discovered in North African river systems, may have grown even longer, adapted instead for a semi-aquatic lifestyle, hunting fish in ancient rivers rather than chasing prey across open land. This wasn't one era of giants. It was over 165 million years of shifting ecosystems, climates, and evolutionary experiments. Longer than mammals have existed, longer than flowering plants have covered the earth, longer than almost any dominant group in the history of life. And then, in a moment the geologists can pinpoint almost to the day it ended. 66 million years ago. An object roughly 6 miles wide, likely an asteroid, struck what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in modern-day Mexico. The impact carved a crater over 90 miles across, a wound in the Earth, still detectable today through gravitational surveys and drilled rock samples. The force released has been compared by researchers to billions of times the energy of the atomic bombs used in the 20th century. But it wasn't the blast itself that ended the age of dinosaurs. It was what came after. The impact vaporized rock and launched debris high into the atmosphere, some of it reaching orbit before raining back down as superheated particles. Scientists studying ancient sediment layers have found evidence consistent with intense atmospheric heating in the hours following impact, potentially igniting wildfires across vast regions. Then came the longer, quieter killer. Fine dust and sulfur particles blocked sunlight for months, possibly years. Photosynthesis collapsed. Plants died first. Then herbivores. Then the predators that depended on them. This is the layer of clay we mentioned at the beginning, a thin band of iridium-rich sediment found in rock formations worldwide, chemically consistent with asteroid material. Below that line, fossils of non-avian dinosaurs appear regularly. Climate shifts and volcanic activity in what is now India. Or were they thriving right up until the very last moment? A dominant, adaptable group cut down entirely by chance? The fossil evidence remains contested, and honest scientists admit the full picture is still being pieced together. What we do know is this: for 165 million years, dinosaurs adapted to nearly every challenge their changing planet presented. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, shifting continents, rising seas. They endured all of it. What they could not survive was a single object, arriving without warning, from a direction no predator on Earth was built to sense coming. Stand today in almost any patch of grass, anywhere in the world, and you are standing above ground that dinosaurs once walked, hunted, and died on. Their teeth are still buried in riverbeds. Their bones still emerge from eroding cliffs, decades after decades, and their descendants are still singing outside your window every single morning. We often imagine extinction as the end of a story. But the story of the dinosaurs is not really about an ending. It's about what determines who gets to keep going and how thin the line can be between total dominance and total disappearance. 66 million years ago, that line was written in a layer of clay barely as thick as a coin. Somewhere, quietly, evolution is already writing the next one.